right, well, let's go ahead and start the
It
meeting.
wasn't huge, but it was fun. I mean, there were travels going on, other things were going on, but it was, you know, people that were there was fun, and the weather was nice, and
Yeah.
I thought we had a good time. The band was nice, the band was good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get a motion to approve the minutes from,
I motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So my remarks following on Natasha was, the Oktoberfest started slow, but apparently more people came. Unfortunately, I had to leave, because I had another conflict, with another meeting. It was, looked like people were coming, based on Bruce's.
Yeah, and I think people were having fun. I mean, people were playing badminton and cornhole and eating, and, you know, there were some families, you know,
Yeah,
a couple of families there, and we all
Well, Bruce-
enjoyed the band.
Bruce said he, at one point, thought he counted like 60 or 65
Yeah,
people.
yeah. I mean, there were some people that came in that kind of trickled in later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was good. I mean, if you didn't make it, you missed, I think, a nice time, and thanks to everybody who did and helped, and,
And we're dismissed?
well, I'm one of the ones.
You
who
might have
dismissed.
jinxed Penn State by, you know.
But I was there to set up
Yeah, well, that's, yep, see, I got there to
and burn
break
rocks
down.
and stuff. Okay.
And just to add to that, we spent $259 on the food for that
Did you
day.
have a lot of food left over?
We had 2 packages of hot dogs and a
That's
package of brats left.
That's all?
Big
Oh,
packages.
okay.
They were big.
industrial
So, but
size.
those will freeze.
Yeah.
So,
And there was a little bit of potato salad, but not as
Not
much
a
as-
lot of potato
Not a
salad.
lot. Yeah.
we have a can of beans that I didn't open. Bread. I didn't buy as much bread as I bought meat, because I knew the meat could be frozen.
Right,
But still in all, I ended up with too much bread.
You can freeze.
Not for a year.
No.
Yeah, that's maybe
Not bread.
It turns a funny shade
Yeah.
of white.
Yeah,
That's a
now,
funny taste of it.
yeah, no, not for sure. I mean,
So I'll donate that to Smile.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
good idea,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the other highlight was Dave Lightsell, who lives across the street from me, works for Bob Hall Distributor, and provided all the German beer.
Yeah, that was
So,
great.
Did that all get
That-
done?
I think that did.
Yes.
I think that was all
Yeah.
Was this the Oktoberfest?
imbibed.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was gonna be some beer like that, so I came over figuring I'll take a couple of my own.
Yeah, we did too. We
Yeah,
brought,
I
we
did
brought
too.
our own beer too.
Yes, yes.
But it was nice to have it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very sweet.
Well, when we talked about it, we said, well, we can't advertise it because
Oh,
you know,
The
they-
liability.
it could be liability and
Oh,
violating liquor laws
Yeah.
and God knows what.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to donate it, and so I talked to Dave, and he said, he checked with the Bob Hall, and they said, yeah, we'd be glad to donate 3 cases. So they did.
That was very nice of them, yeah.
Good,
And it was good.
Yeah, it was.
good beer.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any other remarks I need to make?
Is there anything else I want to say?
Beer is good.
Okay, I'll probably think of something, but as we go along. You got what is the status of that after that? Well, I guess I could talk about, since it's not on the agenda. And Rio will probably maybe say more about it, but we had to get a letter from our attorney in regard to the STD. And basically, all it says is, we're a HOA and we're complying with everything, and
All the documents.
our documents are okay. And it's basically the same letter that he sent 5 years ago.
Hey, I work for the government, I understand.
And the only charge is $742.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, it's the exact same letter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Exact same letter except the date.
Yeah, so
Well, if
anyway,
the
we're gonna,
contract says if it's a letter.
I reviewed the contract, and it's not covered by the retainer fee. That, it turns out that only covers phone calls and maybe a quick look at an email or something like that, so it covers hardly anything.
Yeah.
And because if you talk to him on the phone, he's not gonna back that up as a legal opinion. So anyway, we're paying $2,700 a year for a retainer that basically does nothing for us.
Are you thinking we should change lawyers?
Well,
I mean,
a friend of mine
maybe we
is,
should.
a friend of mine's a judge and he's like open court judge and lawyer, Prince Frederick. And I asked him, he gave me a name of an HOA firm.
Maybe we should.
So I'm gonna talk to him, but so far I haven't been able to get a hold of him, they haven't called me back. And the only disturbing thing is that when I look at their website, what they really focus on is collection activities. So they help condo associations and HOAs, whatever, collect debts.
Yeah, but it's still good to talk to him. I mean, even when we have
Right.
a long-standing relationship with Mr. Shield, but every now and then it is good to go out and feel around. Is there
Right.
somebody else that can do about
Well,
the
so-
same thing for how much
Well,
money?
especially if you're just changing the data in the letter.
Yeah. And one gal at the firm there does, in her CV, she kind of does talk more about like HOA rules and liability and stuff like that. So if I can I'm gonna try to get a hold of her, talk to her. She was recommended by a friend of mine. And if I can get a hold of her and talk to her, get a feel for what they do and don't do. Because Rita and I talked about it, I don't think we need collection support.
No.
I mean, we might, there might be a onesie case
Well,
or
there might be
something,
an
but
opinion, but really, but.
Well,
I've been doing it.
I took it to Gary years ago, because I had a phone call, collection agency,
Yeah.
where would you like help? And Gary said, I don't think we need to be knocking on people's doors at midnight.
No, no,
Because that's what some of these
yeah.
collection
And our-
agencies do,
yeah.
they,
plus our collections have improved a lot,
oh,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing, with court rulings ruling in favor of HOAs,
Yes.
I don't think we needed collection
No.
agency.
So I just want to make sure, I want to talk to them and see if they would offer, the other kind of support.
Well, Shields too, I mean, he wouldn't have had done that, he would have had an underling do it, and they shouldn't be, it couldn't take an hour.
No, we were charged,
So
I
it could-
think,
should've
I
been
can look at it
$3.95.
again, I
Should've
believe it was his per hour price on that invoice. I'd have to double check,
It was
but I
just-
think it was
It was
his.
mostly his and with a little bit of admin
Admin,
support, not
yeah.
much.
No.
Well, that should probably,
But,
So-
they couldn't give that to one of his underlings.
And our documents haven't changed.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Unless they would say they have to check that they haven't changed, I don't know.
So we're gonna schedule a phone call with him this week.
Yeah, you know what you could do, you could say, we discussed it at the board meeting, the board was a little perplexed. Why a letter that was word for word, exactly the same
Yes, I
as
think
previous
it's
years,
fine.
except for the date, and we're getting charged $700 your time.
It could have been a
We're gonna
junior member.
ask for a phone call to discuss
Yes,
exactly
yes,
that.
yes, but that's outrageous.
When we first, started in with him, I think, because I went through some of the invoices today and tried to kind of track down, and we paid a lot over and above the retainer for these written opinions. And some of them, they're very important, some of them have to do with our being able to adjust the covenant fee, according to CPI and so on. Another one, the quit claims, that was
Yeah.
a pretty good one, an important one. And then the other that comes to mind is there was a property owner who I filed a claim on, and he filed an intent to defend. It was a couple of years ago, Gary was around more. And it was like the first one that had filed that intent to defend after we increased the covenant fee. So we thought, oh, this is gonna be the one, this is the case that's gonna say, yeah, we're okay or not. So we had Mr. Shield put together an opinion, and it's like a thick volume of documents I have, and then the guy decided not to defend it. So,
But
but
you're ready.
that being said, well, and that's what Gary said, is we have this opinion
Sure.
from our attorney saying, but the years have gone by, and although I had a
Yeah.
complaint today about people who don't live on county maintained roads and still have to pay, but that's a whole
Yeah.
different sort of ballgame.
Yeah.
But we do have those opinions from him, so it's been good.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have a retainer with him, or with any attorney, what would happen if we went to them and said, hey, can you give us a written?
It would cost you
opinion?
$750.
It wouldn't, but
But his retainer covered nothing
that's,
So, why would,
with respect to
It
this.
should have, but it didn't.
You'd think it would, but it's
a simple
specifically
email
says.
question that he can respond to like that,
Mhm.
no charge.
Right.
As soon as you come back on him and say, well, okay, but can you clarify that?
that
He
And you're
anybody-
gonna get charged.
very specifically says in the contract, only short telephone calls and emails and, blah, 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 that require no
But even
Research.
if, I mean, so what is his hourly rate? Because you know,
$3.50.
so it shouldn't cost more than $3.50.
Right.
I was expecting an
Regardless.
hour. I was
Yeah,
expecting.
because
Yeah.
usually they won't charge you less than an hour, so.
Right,
So
exactly.
I think the most it should cost is
Yeah,
$3.50,
because-
so
Yeah.
I don't understand.
So that's
Well,
very
no,
strange.
if we have him on retainer, he's billing, he should be billing us every 15 minutes.
Oh, really? Increments of the
Because
hour?
we are paying him to work for us, even when he's not working.
Right.
So when he bills us, it's just like any other attorney,
Yeah.
every 15 minutes.
But would that include things that weren't part of the retainer?
Yeah, it's 15 minutes.
Well, I mean, but this wasn't in the,
I don't think it calls that out, but
No.
it does call out like the administrative support down to like 1/10 of an hour, if I remember
Oh,
right.
right, I think you're right. I think you're right.
okay.
Okay, well, anyway.
So that should have been
And- yeah.
typing the new dictation.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pursue that.
Yeah.
Well, no, he had me type
There's your problem.
Oh, and the other one that got me was, one of the things we did ask him recently had to do with this support dog, or support animal.
Oh,
yeah,
yes, that's on the
okay.
agenda, yeah.
And, what was it?
it.
Oh,
So anyway,
Service animals, I think.
we did ask his opinion on that. I don't think he charges much for that.
Like $186, I wanna
Okay.
say.
And we got this thing back from him, and it refers to a HUD rule about housing.
Fair housing.
About if you have certain kind of housing and you have to open it up to, it doesn't even apply in this
No,
case.
no.
That's strange.
So that really got me.
Yeah, yeah.
Housing
Maybe
and the
his
beach are
assistant
different.
did that
Huh?
one. Maybe an assistant did do that one.
Well,
Housing and the beach are a little
well,
different.
maybe
Yeah.
we need to find somebody new.
Whereas even a stupid layman like me was able to dig up the ADA
Mhm.
regulations that specifically address service animals,
Mhm,
what they can be and can't be, and what you can do and can't do
mhm.
with respect to them. That's very clear.
Hmm.
And he pulls out some obscure HUD thing that doesn't even apply.
Hmm.
Okay,
Well,
whatever.
yeah,
Let's move on.
yeah.
Opposite.
Okay, where am I? Oh, I had a call the other day from a property owner, maybe it was an email, and he'd like us to place rocks. I don't know why I'm putting this here, it should maybe be under roads, it doesn't matter. He would like us to place, as you come down Riverview onto the causeway, it's one way. So as you come around the curve, people pull over and park and they fish. I don't think we should do that. And I said to him, they'll just park on the street then, if you
Yeah.
block that little bit of parking area.
Oh, yeah, that should
But
stay.
does anybody think, I don't know,
No,
we should
I
put
don't-
rocks
I'm
to
not
block
that
that?
familiar with the stretch of
Oh,
road.
yeah, right after we go to Jack and Cindy's. and-
No, no, no.
No, no,
No, that's
No,
not,
no, no,
that's
no.
not different
It's
causeway.
on Riverview or it comes into
Yeah.
Overlook.
Oh, I
Lake
don't know.
Vista.
So this isn't the causeway
No,
I'm
not
thinking
yet.
of, okay, it's a different.
And I'm sure there's a no parking sign there.
There is.
There
There
is.
probably is.
No.
There is.
Is there no parking sign on the causeway?
No, that's a little parking lot.
That's a little parking.
That's
Lake
supposed to
Charlie.
be
That's
set aside
Yeah.
for parking.
Okay.
No, this is the Riverview Causeway, and there probably is there no parking sign?
I believe so.
You think so?
I believe so.
Yeah,
People
pretty sure
ignore
there is.
signs,
Yes.
but I just don't think we should take away one of the few places that somebody can pull off.
Yeah, because you're right, they probably would park on the street.
Yeah,
No
and
parking
you-
is-
And that's kind of a
Yeah,
hairpin.
You're fixing one, you're gonna have, I agree with you, I think it'll lead to unintended consequences.
Yeah,
yeah.
You'll stop the parking, but they'll be on the street.
Yeah.
right, that'd be
Or
worse.
well, no, they won't park off the street, they'll be on the street.
Right.
Well, and he said he understand, I understand, he said, yeah, I see what you're saying, but I said regardless, I'd ask, here we go.
Okay.
So membership, we're 75% paid in full already, which I think is really good. We already talked about the Oktoberfest. We talked with Mrs. Mrs. H. Hawkins, Mrs. Hawkins. Mrs. Hawk, I just have Mrs. H here,
Oh.
I couldn't remember her name. Talked with her about the fees that she'll be charged versus what it'll cost us and so on. And she's, okay, 150. I said the board's willing to take on the 870. She asked if it could be done by mail. And Jesse at Tom Pelagotti's office said, yeah, she'll just simply have to have some of these documents notarized that I sent.
Can you clarify this, what is this for?
For the transfer of the property.
Oh, transfer the
I'm
property,
sorry. I
okay,
didn't
yeah.
make that very
Yeah,
clear. For the
okay.
transfer of the property
Okay.
from Ms. Hopkins to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's gonna
So-
happen, I'm sorry, I missed a meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There were 20.
I just woke up.
There were, Ruffles, don't scare. No, there were 20 absentee ballots and 23 people, I think, in attendance at Tuesday's meeting, the 28th.
What was the count?
One opposed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody
one-
approved
oh.
of one of those,
Wow,
yeah.
that's good.
And it
Yeah.
was,
She didn't sign her ballot. No, I didn't mean.
Yeah, right.
But there could have been two sheets.
yeah. Oh, really, I was only thinking of one sheet that would
There's one or two. There's
But there was only
two
one
different ones
voted
at
against.
Thursday.
So where do we stand as far as, is Pelagotти preparing like a bill of
Well-
sale or something, or?
He will as soon as I say yes. I just didn't know, are we good with the 870 and allowing her to do it by mail and all that?
What do you think is good on file?
Yeah, at this point.
Whatever's
yeah,
cheapest, I mean,
yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
Right. I'll call him or Jesse tomorrow and get it set up. I assume that we'll have to drive up there. Or the board, one of the board members will probably have to drive up to sign documents.
Where is he?
He's
Prince
right up
Frederick.
in Prince Frederick, on Schooner Drive, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Behind the post office, maybe?
Oh, I found it once.
Yeah, but anyway,
Pelagotti?
what, yes.
I thought he
That's
was
where it
in-
is.
He was over in,
St. Mary's?
St.
I
Mary's.
think he has an office over there, he does
Yeah.
have a sign over there, I assume it's his
Yeah.
as well. But he definitely has an office in Prince
okay.
Frederick.
That's where I saw him. I
Yeah.
don't know about St. Mary's.
Well, could we do it either place, or does it have to be done in?
It's closer
Prince
to
Frederick?
across the bridge.
Oh, that's-
Yeah,
St. Mary's is closer.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
well, just ask him, I mean,
I'll
it
ask
doesn't
him.
matter, we can do it there, but if it has to be in Calvert County or something, so
Well,
Oh,
I
yeah,
sure wouldn't
that's
think
right.
so.
I wouldn't think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
'Cause you can go to a closing on a house here over in
Right.
the bank and.
Yeah.
so,
Um,
In theory.
Yeah, right.
The only other thing I have is, I won't be here Friday. I'm going to go camping with my children.
Where are you going?
Luray area.
Oh,
And
that's
not really to the caverns, but that
Yeah,
area.
there's some sweaters.
I know.
There have been, mange has been reported up there.
Yeah,
What?
Mange.
mangy bears.
Really? Really?
Mangy bears, yes.
We do go for a nice hunt, there's three of us, and other people on
People can get mange, you know.
I don't want to get mean.
I'd be more worried
Scaring our
about bears.
Well, if I don't show up next week, you know. Yeah, maybe.
Don't have any hair, you look like me.
Oh, there have been times that, anyway, that's all I have.
Well, one go back on, since you talked about the parking off the road and stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe, I don't know if you guys have seen any of this or not, but Mike Stanton had called me a couple times and was complaining about a herd of people that were parked down on Lake Charming, off the street, and were camped and fishing and this and that, and picnicking and all that, and didn't have any stickers on their cars, didn't speak English, yada, yada, yada. So, I went down there one day when he called and said they're there, so I went down. There was actually only one family there. They had DC plates, no, of course, no hang tag. I went and talked to them. A couple of them did speak good English, so I was able to communicate with them. And they just weren't aware of it. And I think they probably had been told by somebody, I'm guessing they were probably labor, maybe at that new house. or-
Yeah.
Although he swore up and down he didn't hire any Latinos, but.
Come on, I've walked by and heard
Yeah.
her speaking Spanish.
I
Come
know,
on.
so, anyway, they were probably just told that, or somebody else told somebody who told them.
And then I realized,
Yeah.
And they were real nice, they packed up and left, and I explained to them that a much better place to fish is down at the Solomon's Pier, which is open to the public, and probably is a better place, and I pointed to the dead fish, and I said, muerto,
Yeah.
malo, muy malo.
Yeah.
She said, she understood that, and so,
Yeah.
anyway. So if you do see activity down there that we think is going overboard, give me a call or something.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
not
told,
hard, that's hard.
like I told Mike, I said, look, if it's, if they're really, like if they're parking in the street or whatever, then we'll almost have to go to the sheriff. But if they're cooperative people, like these people were,
Yeah.
they just didn't
Not good.
understand, but
Mhm.
anyway. So if you see any activity down there,
I drove by one time going over to see Jack in the morning, sort of, I think there were 2 or 3 cars there, all with hang tags. And the guys were all on these sort of beach chairs, half asleep with their fishing rods.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
yeah.
Oh, that's
What do you
What-
say?
Yeah, what bothers me more is when people park their truck in the middle of the street on Laurel, because that's such
I
a,
know.
I was telling you about that at the general meeting, because it's such a hazard, because you have to
Mm.
go around them, and then the cars come up from the other
Yeah.
side, it's gonna be a head-on collision.
Call.
And
the
there is
sheriff's
a no parking sign right there, although there is, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but, I mean, the no has been marked out for a long time there, but there's more, like, in several spots around the area, there's some graffiti, like, people have been writing things.
Not people, kids.
Well, I don't know, they could
Kids are
be,
people.
they could be
Yeah.
young adults, I don't know who it is, but,
Yeah.
I've noticed also on Bayview, there's, someone wrote something on that, like where it dips down.
Well,
Signs
it
are already
sounds like
closed.
maybe there's something going on over there in that area, because Susan Rourke told me last night that the stop sign coming off of Lakeview, onto
Mhm.
Bayview,
Yeah, it's got writing on it too.
it's got graffiti all over,
That's a
something
new
Yeah.
all
sign,
over
too.
it.
That's a new sign.
Yeah, there are a couple of the stop signs that have that.
And that's impossible, well, I suppose it depends on what they use, but years ago, we brought in a bunch of them to try to clean.
Yeah.
Kids had just been all through.
Who owns those signs, the
We do.
county? Oh,
We
the
do.
stop signs are?
That there are.
ours?
Yeah, the one that dips down on Bayview, it says, "I hope you don't mind." So
That's what it says on the, they've written on
that's
the
what they
sign.
wrote, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
big, it goes all the way down, it's been there for about a month,
Huh.
so, and it came,
Very strange.
That's on the street or on the sign?
on the street.
On the street.
Oh, they wrote it on
I
the
thought you
street.
Not on the
said
street, it's
sign.
on the metal, the metal.
The
what do you call
guardrail.
it?
The
guardrail.
It's on the
Like a
guardrail, yeah,
Oh.
it's, yeah.
I wonder if these are residents.
You gotta leave your
Oh,
mark.
yeah, here's just as many local limbs in Drawing Point as there are. Who knows? So my husband was,
Figure who they are and tell their mommies and their
Oh.
because that'll help. There's been a sign that was taken off of Weston, I think, is it, I don't know, one of the streets. I was, children at play, sign's gone.
Mhm.
And I said to the woman that told me, in email, I said, wouldn't you think some astute parent would notice that sign in their kid's bedroom?
But you know what,
Yeah.
there was, not to like rat on somebody,
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead.
but I saw in the garage, an adult had a street sign in their garage.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I have a street sign in my garage, but I bought it from the thrift store, God's
No,
honest
it's
truth.
not, okay.
It's dear,
No,
it's dear court.
No,
And
it
I saw
wasn't
at the
yours.
thrift
It
store.
wasn't
So I had to buy it.
But the provence of that sign, who knows?
Well, and each of my
But it was one
daughters,
that we replaced, so I was like,
each of my
yeah.
daughters have a Laurel Way sign. And the way that came about is, we had an older version of the street sign, so
you
there was
just got
one,
the old one.
and
Yeah.
Lauren saw it,
Yeah.
oh, can I have it, Mom?
Yeah.
And sure, okay. Well, then I felt bad that Marisa didn't. So I bought one from Vulcan, I paid $75 damn
Oh
dollars.
my
for it.
gosh.
Because I had to pay freight, it was a Christmas gift.
Yeah,
I
right,
had to pay freight, it was the only sign.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's true. You don't even-
So those are legitimate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see your point, yeah.
Well, I guess if the signs are defaced enough to where it's not clear, I call
Yeah.
Susan to give you a call
Oh, yeah, I
and
haven't heard from
have
her.
Joe look at it or something.
Okay.
Okay, any more on roads or?
Yes. Chris Franklin called me about 2.5 hours ago, 3 hours ago, I don't know, and said that he had just gotten a call from Great Mills Trading Post, like 5 minutes before that. And they wanted to come tomorrow morning, probably around 10, and start milling the driveways, like the interface of the driveway to the street. And then next week, start the paving. And Chris was, hesitant, he has to, now he's gotta figure a way to get tomorrow off.
Hmm.
Plus, you know, he didn't wanna say no, because then that puts us another week behind all of this. So I said, go ahead, and then I confirmed it with Mike, and he was, yeah, it's fine. So I sent an email out to the community,
Excellent.
yeah. Carl went ahead and did the trees on that list.
Did he?
Yes, they're all done.
Oh,
Yes, I know, a month ago, it was like, well, depending on when you can get to it, so,
No, the one on Lake wasn't probably,
that's a whole different one. This was a list of,
it's got a.
minor.
It's got a pink ribbon on it
Yes,
though.
it does, and
Mhm.
Carl actually called Smecco for me, because when I called Smecco, they called me back and said they didn't see a problem with the tree and the lines. So Carl, of course, has a contact person there, he called him, and he said that the tree it isn't just leaning toward the sun, the base has been the root system has been
root balls
compromised.
starting to.
It's been compromised, and that's what's making it lean.
Okay, it's really leaning.
It's a
Yeah.
loblolly pine, and it's
Yeah.
got a 10-foot deep taproot, which
Mm.
ordinarily would mean that's a good strong tree, but because the roots are compromised.
Mm.
And on the sidebar, I got a note, or an email, a very lengthy email from a gentleman who lives near that tree. Very upset that we're going to take it down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And wanted to know if his neighbor, whose property it's in front of, had been notified. I said, no, because it's in our right of
Yes,
way.
yes, yes.
Right.
You didn't have to tell me who it
What
was.
was it written?
But he, had other trees that he compared it to, and gee, what's the difference? I called Carl just to confirm, and that's where I got the
Yeah.
update on that.
That's good to have Carl's
Oh, yeah.
knowledge
He's-
about
yeah,
things.
He's
Yeah.
good. He's a little, busy sometimes,
Yeah,
but he's
but,
good.
yeah.
Then the only other thing I have.
So what was the deal with Smocko?
Oh, Smecco, oh, I'm
Was that
sorry.
it? Was
So
that
Carl talked to his contact, and they're gonna come in tomorrow and top it down to the,
Okay.
below the
Yeah.
lines, because Carl can't work
Okay.
above the lines.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he'll finish taking it out.
Now, that tree has a twin on Rick Ballard's rental property, 488.
That's the one he cited, I'll bet.
Oh,
He was
yes.
telling me about the
Yes,
woman
and-
that lives across the street
Yes,
from that,
that was Sue.
and she was
and
concerned that it was,
Yes.
he had all
He
these
told me all about
experts
this.
and Smecco
And
and
he said he
everything.
called the county and the state, and they came and they said, no, there's nothing wrong with the tree on his rental
Well, so he's
property.
comparing that one with the one.
They look a bit like twins. I mean, they're kind of listing the same, but in the other direction,
Yeah.
toward the house across the street. And he put his
really
own
can't-
yellow ribbon on it.
You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
really do that. You can't really compare this
No.
tree to that tree.
No, but I mean, if you look at them, the angle is,
Yes,
that's
but-
all I'm saying.
yeah,
The angle is the
Depends
same.
on why the angle's there.
Yes,
what's the-
exactly.
What's the,
Well, and I also
what's
said-
the threat and.
I also said to him in my response that when a property owner brings something like that to our attention, if we choose not to act, and it falls and it hurts
That's
somebody, then we're liable for that.
That's right, and he can ask his
And
insurance
you have-
company if he doesn't believe
And you
that.
have like school buses and things
Yes,
going
that's true,
under
that's
there,
true.
and it's like, right?
Yeah,
If
of
it falls, it's
Of
gonna go
course.
right through the
Right,
power
right, of
lines
course.
and,
So,
yeah.
and then the only other thing, recall on Saturday, wait a second, it's a different one. Well, the drainage on Bay Drive by the Fost House that we were gonna do something about, the man that is the builder of that new house, he actually came to us and said, gee, would you mind if I do this work? Because of the drainage, it was going to impact his new property owners.
Uh-huh.
And I had Sal take a look at it, and Sal was like, yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna suggest we do.
Nice.
So we got that done.
I know it's rich.
Yeah. So this is the one I was referring to though. Recall on Saturday, or Tuesday at the meeting, the gentleman stood up on Crew Drive, and he was upset. Why would he call us? He tried to get us to fix a street light. Why would he, and we didn't do it, so why would he call us about his driveway flooding, his yard flooding? So he's gonna send me pictures, which
Who's that?
yeah, he hadn't sent me the pictures yet, so I just had Sal go out and take a look at it. And Sal's first response was that, well, it lies below the grade of the road, so it's really not an issue that we can solve, because gravity and all that runs. Plus, he doesn't have a driveway, and that exacerbates the problem, and so on. But then, so I let this man know, So then he sent me pictures, and he asked if he could talk to Sal here in person. He said, of course. So Sal met with him, and according to Sal, and I've talked to Chris, he's gonna look at it as well. The crown of the road is too high. It's especially high there, and he said Sal says it's like from the middle, it goes down, you know, for drainage, which is what it's supposed to do. But it's just, he said a 20% grade, which I don't know. Anyway,
Instead of what?
yeah, I have no idea. It's too high, it's too steep of a grade,
Too steep of a grade.
in Sal's opinion.
Mhm, mhm.
But I'm gonna have Chris look at it too. I talked to him about that today, and he'll see if he can take a look at it.
Okay.
Anyway, that's it.
Did Jack tell you anything you wanted to have? No. Is there anything unusual in that?
No, it's all, I can't think of anything that's out of the ordinary.
Environment?
Okay, I spoke to Mark Smith, and he got the spraying done last week, and so I asked him, because I wasn't down here while I was doing it, I asked him just to give me a sense of how we're doing. And he said that Lake Terrace looked great, because that was the one place I was really concerned about. And he said it can be done next year with a backpack sprayer, which is really good, because usually it has to have this, I don't know, something on this truck go down.
Okay.
And that's a hard place to treat anyhow,
Yeah.
but that road is very strange. And he said the community beach was scattered from end to end, and that's what I had seen a lot, like in the line. He said very short, which would indicate it is either coming back from seed or uncommitted rhizomes, and I have a definition of what that means. And then he says mature frag is much taller. Lake Charming was scattered with some obviously missed in the vines on the southern end of the causeway. But there's been native species that's coming in at all sites, so that's a good thing.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
So-
there is. I was down there.
And he said overall it looks okay about what I usually see, and he said next year he'll just be able to spot spray with a backpack, saving us a lot of money.
Good.
And then so I asked him, I said, what's an uncommitted rhizome? And I thought, that
I
was
don't know,
strange.
gee, my goodness, I just.
Just signal and play in the field, right?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
So he writes back, and this is all Friday and Saturday, he says, uncommitted rhizomes are rhizomes that have very limited leaf growth due to competition. That's actually a good thing. Being that the herbicide works by translocation through the leaf, they are hard to control. On the community beach, it appears to me that the rhizomes were partially controlled last year. And then there was a certain amount of seeding in, but when I see large spots, I assume the previous year's rhizomes were only partially controlled. The control was 100%, I can tell, as there are no frag plants taller than 4 feet. Uncontrolled would be 6, 8, and 10 feet plants. I don't think he's talking about the rhizomes here, but anyhow, said in summary, the control last year was complete, but the rhizomes were more robust than the leaf surface available for the herbicide to uptake to completely destroy the rhizomes. The good news is that he said he usually sees 100% control of rhizomes when he treats small frag late, which he did that this year. And so then I asked him to what extent is the reseeding on the beach coming from the huge Phragmites stand on the Rim Point Club? And then he said, and then we're talking about getting rid of Phragmites forever and whether, and he said, is not possible, and then about the tarping, not possible to get rid of Phragmites forever. He says he doesn't, then he was talking about the frag seeds which are underground, some of these that are under the ground, and that's why he's always said don't dig them up, cut them at the surface, because you'll get those seeds that are underground activated. He said that he's not sure what the lifespan of a frag seed is, but he said some seeds are, he's talking about microstegium, which I don't know what that is. Some of these kinds of plants, the seeds remain viable for 4 or 5 years, some it's up to 25 years. And he's not sure where frag is on the spectrum. So there are probably, he's saying there are probably seeds that are in the seed bank in the soil. That's the thing he's concerned about. Then there is seed that floats or tides in, floats or tides in. That would be the natural reseeding of the Phragmites. And the natural reseeding of the native species, so there's a lot of seed down there. Then he said there are events that occur like higher tides, storms, etc., that would be major reseeding events, bringing them in from elsewhere. And so he said there are events that occur, higher tides, storms, etc. And they said, I could not state what percentage of your frag is coming from any one source. It would seem intuitive that the huge stand next door at the club is contributing to the problem, but he can't say so definitely. I mean, but it is there. Then I asked him about the shading with tarps, that technique. He said, shading with tarps is an interesting concept, essentially providing unnatural canopy to prevent frag from growing. But it said it would also prevent all natives from growing, and native plants, once established, provide the canopy to prevent, forestall, the reinfestation of the frag. And he said he's only seen tarping done once effectively on a small spot, and the following years, we spot treated to keep the frag out. So it is possible with habitat, which is imazapyr, which is, it must be a different herbicide, to sterilize the soil and prevent frag from growing for 2 to 3 years. But the frag returns as the herbicide wears off. And then of course you're killing whatever native plants are there, so you don't want to do that. So anyhow, that's what he had to say about that. To depress frag, encourage the natives, and get to a natural canopy. So that was the give and take we had.
Did you say the beach is beginning to regrow again, or did I misunderstand?
The causeway has a lot of native regrowth, but I think
No,
there's.
no, I meant Phragmite at the community beach, is it becoming?
There's
is it
a,
growing
I
again?
saw a bunch of it, and that's what he was talking
Okay.
about, but he said that was the immature, these immature plants that he thought were these uncommitted rhizomes. But he said there's a lot of native growth there too, and when I went
Right.
down there, I saw
I
a
saw
lot.
some grasses,
Lot
I
of
wasn't quite
grasses.
sure what it was, but I saw
Yeah,
some
no, but
grasses,
there's some
yeah.
Phragmites and there's some, a lot of, since we eradicated it like last year, I did a big job of eradicating, a lot of those native grasses have come in. And so it's these uncommitted rhizomes that are causing us the problem.
If anybody has any doubt that the native grasses come back when
Oh,
and that stuff is not just pumped up
Tony's-
at my beach.
Oh my gosh. Oh
That
my
stuff, they sprayed it away almost in a couple of months. Native grasses are back and they're spreading, thank you God.
So I think the bottom line is that we're doing well, and when we spray every year, we're not spraying the same amount, the same volume, we're spraying little spots. And surf drive, I saw maybe one possible plant, and I sent him pictures of what I thought might be frag and where I found it. And he didn't say, I don't think that might not have been a frag, or might have just given a little spurt, but it's the community beach, the causeway, and Lake Terrace. But the causeway is in pretty good shape, the community beach actually is in pretty good shape. And Lake Terrace, he said, for just having started last year, it was in good shape, so anyway, that's it.
Okay, anything else?
Well, I think we should still have
Ivy?
Oh, I
all the
agree,
folks come.
let her come.
Well,
And I'm thinking maybe next meeting, if that's all right.
But I will tell you though, I mean, she's gonna have to spot tarp, just little areas, because we got a
And
lot of
it's not
native.
attractive.
We have, well, but it's not a lot of
but-
native grasses either, I mean, we wanna keep the native grasses coming in.
I'm
Of
sure
course,
she
I'm sure she-
understands
yeah,
that,
I'm sure she
yeah,
does.
sure.
So we, yeah,
So, I mean, if I can contact her
Sure.
and have her come next meeting,
sure.
just have her show up at 7, is that okay? Is that what I should do?
Yeah.
Okay, and there's also grants that she can secure for us if we decided to go
Mhm.
through with it. Anyway, it's just another
I'm
option.
surprised though, because they did get when she gave the club an estimate that there weren't grants involved, this was a huge number.
I don't know anything about that at all.
But that would have been the perfect place, because it's such a, really, there are no native grasses in that area adjoining.
Don't know. But anyway, about the Ivy League, we're gonna start it second week in November. And I was hoping we could send an email out to the property owners about a week and a half ahead. And I will choose a lot that's easy accessible through, off of one of these lists that,
Oh, that many places?
yeah, there's this
Wow,
many
wow,
places,
wow,
so.
wow.
I wanna choose one that's visible, so people can see the progress that we make, and one that's easy accessible, so. So I'll go out next week and choose one of these and we'll add it to.
What do you want the email to say? Simply that you're doing?
Just that we're starting the
You want
Ivy League
you want
and it'll be
volunteers.
the second weekend in
Starting
November,
and ask for
between 10 and
volunteers if
12,
anybody
ask for
wants to-
volunteers.
And who,
And we'll
and
just-
if they're interested, do they need a contact, or, I'm like,
Yeah, I can write it if you want me
Okay,
to.
if you want to
Yeah.
write it.
Yeah, I'll write it and
Yeah.
send it to you a week ahead.
One more
Okay.
thing about the Phragmites Spring, we have, 4 to 6 weeks, we can have, or
Joe.
after that, we can get the dead canes removed.
Okay.
And again, those are also cut off at the soil.
So is that what they're gonna do at Lake Terrace 4 weeks
Yeah.
from now?
Well, I don't know, it can't be before 4 to 6 weeks,
Uh-huh.
because
Take it down.
it would be, yeah, it has to be dead.
Mhm.
So after 4 to 6 weeks, but I think we've done it in the past, like in January, February, it doesn't, I mean, it can be whenever we can get it done.
Yeah.
So these are the dead canes, so when they're completely dead, because we wouldn't want to be tarping over something that's already dead, we want to just cut it off and then see what regrows, I would think.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything
That's
else?
it, that's it.
Okay. Safety Maggie's not here. Have you heard any other updates on the radio deal or anything? I haven't heard anything.
No, just as it was before, Peter has offered to just simply donate everything back there, and
But any
Oh,
more
oh,
contacts
that's
from the,
right.
what
No.
was it?
Dave Harvey.
Harvey or Harvey or?
Probably some
He's
CRE,
CRE.
Yeah.
he's an
CRE.
IRE.
And didn't you say, are you the one that told me Gary's taking classes? And somebody told me, huh?
In what?
maybe it's Gary.
In ham radio.
Oh,
No, no, but he hadn't.
Maybe I dreamed it.
are you thinking you might want to take over that meeting?
He hadn't mentioned it.
In radio classes.
I'm taking classes in ham sandwich.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's all I know.
Okay. Well, should keep our ears open. Welcoming committee.
Asha and Jenna assembled 5 buckets. Was it 5 last week?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've distributed just 1, and there are supplies on hand for 3 more.
Okay.
Except I probably need to pick up some brochures. That's it.
Okay. Not much progress on the beach erosion. I did find a grant package that has to do with shoreline restoration, so I'm gonna pursue that. And it goes to the same guy that refuses to answer us on the loan, so I'm gonna put the package together, and those pictures are great,
Okay.
good timing. We'll put, a few of those in, with like the asphalt and all that crap showing, and
Oh,
then,
yeah, those Asha's pictures, they were Asha's pictures.
the what?
Asha, they were Asha's
Oh, I'm sorry,
pictures,
yeah, you're right. You guys were talking about,
But you know what was really funny? You showed all that sand gone from the community beach.
You were saying that you
Oh,
had it.
We
yeah.
got building.
Well, you know what I was showing really, it seemed like there was a lot of it, so the first 2 pictures I took, I was facing Brooke Edginger's property, and it seems like there was a lot of erosion right there where his riprap ends and our beach starts. And it was even eroding like behind his riprap, so his riprap wasn't really doing much
Yeah, yeah.
anymore, cause it was like coming back. And it was really cutting in right there. I mean, there was sand on the beach, but you could just see like right there, it was really cutting into
Yeah.
the
Well, also
shoreline.
asphalt too. That
And the
was-
asphalt is,
Yeah.
does not look good.
it's almost like like the asphalt itself goes away and comes back. But it's just,
It
I
does.
know that's not the
It
case.
does.
It's not
But
the
it's-
same as the asphalt.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how, because it'll,
It's
I guarantee
Okay,
you,
you can-
it'll be covered again.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it
it
will,
will.
but it will continue to break
Oh, I know.
out.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I
the
know.
problem.
Yeah.
I know. So anyway, I'm gonna do that, and when I get the package together, and hopefully it won't be too much longer, we'll send it like certified mail to this clown, so he has to sign for it.
That's a good idea,
And
yes.
see if that helps. But
What kind of a grant did you use? Plant restoration grant?
it's shoreline restoration.
Shoreline restoration.
Where is he in Prince Frederick?
No, he's in Annapolis.
Oh, okay, so this is the state, oh, no, that's, yeah, the state.
He's DNR.
Oh, okay.
He's responsible for grants and loans and whatnot for.
They just can't show them this sort of stuff.
You know, at one time he contacted us and said, gee, I heard, because we sent a preliminary package
Right.
up there. And he contacted us and said, gee, I'd like to come down and look at this, and we talked, I said, responses back. I said, glad to, tell us when you wanna do it. I'll see if the coastline design guys can be here. Never heard back. Yeah, anyway.
No, you wanna walk the dogs along the beach tomorrow, you'll be amazed.
Yeah, you,
I'm not sure.
you can.
I actually have, I mean, I've been, I go
Because-
by it.
No, but you
Yeah,
can,
but you can.
you know, usually you had to walk towards the
Yeah,
shore to
yeah.
get over the water
Right.
rings at Bunny's.
Right.
It's a
You
big,
could just
kind of like
walk
a mound, it's like
From beach to
a di-
beach. There's
a
no-
desert, it's a
don't
dune,
even
like
step
a
in.
Well,
dune.
it's interesting how
You don't
the
even have
sand
to
gets
step down.
deposited in
And
certain areas and takes away.
but then I have like a lagoon there too.
Hmm.
It's very, and since I've been here several years, I always see this kind of shape of this lagoon when they have buildup of sand and then there's this lagoon.
Mhm.
And it must be a current pattern or something.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
it's
It
very-
has
or
to
the
be.
way the waves are coming onto the
Yeah,
shore.
it's a very
because-
unusual thing, but I've seen it
Yeah,
time
Right.
and time again.
So you guys accrete in the
We
community
agreed.
beach.
well, you know, what I noticed
Yeah.
too.
And I love it when
I-
everybody says that, you know, on your jetty, you'll get accretion on the north and on the
Right.
north side and less on the south side.
I always thought.
Not on mine.
And that's sometimes
On the
that's-
south side it accretes and
Well,
it's
yeah,
less
well,
on the north.
well, also too, like even the
Yeah.
Drum Point Beach, because we were there for the Oktoberfest,
Uh-huh.
and at the end, I decided to try to like walk, I went to
Uh-huh.
the pier, I tried to walk around, there was hardly any beach.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
beach was really like gone, yeah, we were walking in the water to get
Yeah.
around to the corner, and usually there's a nice stretch of sand
Yeah.
right there,
Yeah.
and there's accretion usually right where at the point,
Yeah.
and that was just like all gone.
Gosh.
Yeah, so I don't know what was going on, I mean, there was definitely a change in
Mother-
pattern or
So
Mother
something.
nature.
were the pictures you did, was it before the splash around the really high tides?
I took the pictures yesterday,
Oh.
when I was walking the dogs.
Okay, so that was,
Yeah.
yesterday was real high tide.
Yeah, yesterday,
So
was
we've
it?
had a lot
Whenever
of-
I sent it, it was like
Yeah,
around
yeah,
10 or
yeah.
something, right before that,
Yeah.
yeah.
That may have something to do with it.
Mm.
Okay. Unfinished business, status of STD, and before I forget, thanks to Tony for filling in at the annual, or the general membership meeting and talking about STD.
Tried not to say anything that would get you into trouble.
It was interesting.
Didn't rile up the crowd.
So,
So,
you wanna, read
Yes,
it
well, I sent the spreadsheet out, the
Right.
latest version. I hope it's done. And I think I have, well, not everything for the package, but this is, I think we need a motion to approve that amount, first of all. And then I inserted it into what is the, I think this is called the resolution. Which Mike will sign.
Where you go, where?
No, it's not.
Well,
easy.
it's, I sent it to you by email.
Oh,
I
okay.
can make copies if.
Oh, okay, no, no, that's
Sorry.
okay, no.
I didn't think yeah, you guys don't have your computers with you. What's up with that?
You got your phone? What do you mean you got your
My
phone?
iPad, my iPhone.
Did you print
it
out
out?
there? There's
Yeah,
some,
well, it
Yeah,
came out like this.
Uh-huh.
There's 3 pages.
Oh,
Yeah, so
yeah, I remember seeing the,
yeah,
I
okay.
wasn't sure what I was looking at though.
So did you come out with a pie chart?
yeah, it's on my list.
I'm teasing you.
Well, it's not such a bad idea.
I guess
Yeah,
we
we
should.
should. Well, that we
It's a good
show,
idea, yeah.
so that when a person like that goes to the public hearing and says to the commissioners, well, they don't even know how much they're spending out of covenant fees on their roads. We can say,
Oh, that was, that's right.
oh, look, here it is.
Yeah.
You know,
That was
it's
a
not a
big-
bad
That was a
idea.
big issue.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, there's that. So the package will have this, which will, shows the amount once it's approved. I had drafted the agreement, it's the same agreement, I obviously didn't draft all of this,
Right.
but I added information, to cover the current STD, because
Yeah.
they're listed sort of one by one.
Right.
The spreadsheets, obviously, for the budgets. And there's percentages worked out. And I would remove this from the package. That was just sort of showing, I think I would.
We talked about that before,
Yeah, I think
maybe
that-
we'd leave it in there,
No,
because it shows that we,
You were talking about this.
or we talking about
This
this.
is Jeff's spreadsheet,
Oh,
so we're
okay.
gonna leave that in
We're
there.
talking about this part.
But no, this, should I leave that in
Yeah,
here?
leave it out.
Because it just shows how it comes
Roads
down to
costs.
100% between capital operations and
Probably,
admin.
that probably is.
It's not-
Okay,
That
so
probably is.
I was gonna cut it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in the video, yeah, too.
And then, yeah, Jeff McDonald did do a 5-year plan, because we met with Public Works, and they suggested, I thought it was a really good suggestion, that we do a 5-year plan. It shows that we're being responsible with regard to spending the money. I think we should include, well, something from coastal design, because we have money, hoping that they'll allow us money for the erosion. What was it, 12,000, I think, a year? Is that what you figured?
Yeah.
So I think we obviously need something from coastal design.
Okay.
And I think the pictures that you sent, Asha, to back up.
Yeah, I mean, they're very,
Yeah, they're
they're really
good.
very good. I mean, it just
Right.
shows, that's not the idea of a family friendly
Yeah.
beach.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and we're talking about property values
Mhm.
going
Yeah.
down, if we
Mhm.
lose that.
Yeah.
Well,
things
plus
like
I
that.
think, to me, it basically shows that we have a hazard.
Yes, yes,
I
that's
mean,
true.
it's not just, part of it's just, it doesn't look pretty, but.
Yeah, it's a hazard.
It's
That's
a,
true.
it's
Yeah,
a
that's true.
community beach where you can't take your kids.
Right.
Well-
So you stumble over the asphalt.
Right,
Yeah.
well, and there
Yeah.
are tree roots and so on, kind of
Right,
off the
yeah,
water.
yeah.
We've tried to get those out before,
Right.
low tide, send
Mhm.
somebody out there to try to hack them up and get them out of there.
Mhm.
Okay, so,
So I can't, I want to verify if there's anything else that needs to go in the package, but I don't. Oh, the letter from Mr. Sheila is in here.
yeah,
There's that. Where is it? Oh, here. Oh, look, here's last time's. Exactly the same. So that's all I know for sure right now that needs to
Okay.
come in.
so we need, code, well, I'll put something together for coastal design, basic concept drawing or something, and then a
Okay.
cost estimate.
Okay, yeah, that would be good, I think, too. And, there'll be a public hearing. I really think it's important that obviously the board members stand up and talk about it. But talk to Gary and ask him, it seems to me that with the last one, he insisted on going up last. So that he could sort of maybe counter any negative
Oh, yeah.
things that might have been said.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure he did that. So, I thought it was interesting at the meeting, the one woman, I hesitate to name names,
Mm.
who sat there and said that, well, the commissioners always take our
Yes,
recommendations. And it's like, where have you
Oh,
been
that was,
living?
yes, that.
Where have you been?
Yes.
You know,
Well, and
we got a couple of
she,
commissioners that
anybody
went
should
way
know
west of
because
the
she
beach.
was,
I
You know,
she was
like,
would-be politician.
So the point being is that 25 people can stand up in favor, and if 3 people object, they seem to want to go with that. And it's, shouldn't be as bad now though, because no administrative costs are taken except for the audit. And that was always the complaint,
Oh.
according to the finance woman I worked with at the
Mhm.
county. CRE, nobody ever complains about their STD, it's because it all goes on the roads. Now ours does too, well, operations,
Yeah.
maintenance, but the roads.
Mhm.
So we may have less complaints than in the past. So we need a motion.
When is that meeting usually held?
Oh, I don't know, it'll be held sometime after the first of the year in the
So
spring.
it's a way.
Yeah, it's a ways away,
Oh, okay.
and it'll be a Saturday, I imagine.
Mhm.
And it's always been at the community center.
wasn't it at the high school?
Yeah, I thought it was
Oh,
It was at
maybe,
the high
was
school.
it?
Yeah, I think it was, and it was in
It was at the high school, yeah.
Yeah.
Or,
No, that,
or was that when
Oh, that was-
when
That was-
the club wanted to start a
That
municipality?
was-
Yes, that was
yeah.
at the,
Yes,
yeah.
That was at the high school.
yes, I think
Yeah.
these are always
That
held
was
at the
at the high
community center, at least in my experience, limited memory.
right.
Yeah, that's right. Was it?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I thought.
That's right, and there weren't that many people there, whereas at the municipality meeting.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, that
yes,
was,
well, you had CRE and
Right,
Yes,
surrounding areas.
Right.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. They'll send the commissioners, well, commissioners don't do it, but their staff actually drafts a letter, mails it to every property owner,
Mm.
and we'll have to pay for the postage for that. We'll get a bill for that.
Okay, So,
the government, it works.
Yeah, I know, right?
so based on what you've heard and the fact, I mean, basically this proposes increasing the STD from 115 to 175.
Yeah, and I didn't talk about 175.
There'll
I
be-
mentioned as high
there'll
as
be
what was it,
howls.
190 or
I had it at
190.
192
Yeah,
on one of the
192.
Yeah, and,
spreadsheets.
you know, I said that it's not a final number, but,
Yeah,
didn't really raise any hackles.
okay.
There've been times when I've been in those meetings where the increase wasn't that great and there was a lot of consternation. But hey,
We'll
that's
see.
the way it is. It's still not a lot of money really when you
Right.
No,
compare it to other
no.
No, this is not.
organizations.
And I think Jack talked about saying something about that, that
Mhm.
compared to other
Okay.
nearby communities, we pay a great deal less. So he'll say that.
So, I mean, and this basically, I mean, this is a draft submission based on what we think is the right thing to do, and they, you know, they're gonna look at it, they're gonna noodle it, and
Oh, yeah.
so, who knows?
So what do you need now? You
So, we need a
got a motion
motion to approve
at 175?
at
All right,
175.
I make a motion that we approve our proposed STD proposal at the 175 level.
For a second,
And second,
all in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Okay. All right, so we'll finish that up. Remind me on the coastal design.
I will,
I
okay.
forgot.
And I won't send it until you look through the package and make sure. That's like a set of bonds. Seems like there's one.
Be assertive and tell me.
Do it.
No, she said she wasn't assertive enough. I said, it never bothered you with me.
He suggested I talk to Tom Shield, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'll have you do that. I think I'm
One of
assertive
the
enough for
best
that.
secretaries I ever had used to walk in and just go, sign it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
confident person.
exactly. Okay, carbon trimming.
Yeah, well, I already mentioned it above, but yeah,
Yeah.
he finished it up
Okay,
Friday, I think.
that was, yeah.
And there was some vegetation and so on, removal,
Yeah.
dead stuff left on the sides of the roads, and he would be back to get it. I don't know if he has yet, but he will.
Okay, good. All right, service animals, I think we talked about that.
Didn't we talk about this before?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Previous meetings, maybe? I don't remember.
I think so.
We did.
Because
That's
it had come up then, and, you know, the basic rule is, if it's a dog, and if it's, does work, and if it's for a disability, that's all you can.
But they gotta be leashed. They can't just be walking
They have to be under
around.
You have to
control.
be under control.
Ah,
It doesn't specify
But
leash,
there are
but,
leash laws.
but there are, you know, there's some common sense things, like you have to clean up after it. It can't be in a food service, you know, a food prep area, you know, and there's things about hotels and stuff like that. But anyway, basically, from our standpoint, from a legal standpoint, we were wrong in challenging this woman the way we did.
Yeah, I don't know
Are
anything
they
about this
aware
challenge,
of
but I'm not aware of,
I don't think they were
Was it-
aware of this woman having a challenge.
No.
Was it an
No.
emotional support animal, or
No,
was it
no,
a service animal?
No, and the ADA rule specifically excludes emotional support animals. So these have to be dogs, they have to, so what happened was, there was a woman there with a dog.
where at
At
the,
the community beach.
okay.
And Shirley,
I don't know if it was Shirley, I guess
I think
it was
it was
Shirley.
Shirley.
Was it Shirley?
And it was during the summer hours?
yeah, this
and
past-
then I-
yeah,
maybe
but
it's
you know,
like-
it was when dogs were still restricted from,
Okay.
okay, so she, not knowing all this stuff, she just said, well, ma'am, you can't bring the dog on the beach. And the woman said, no, it's a support dog. And Shirley didn't understand all this, and she says, well, then you need to take it over there or something and keep it on a leash or whatever.
Did she
Well-
ask her for like,
And she asked
certification?
for certification.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't do that,
You can't do
You
that,
can't?
can't do that,
but you could.
no. All you can do is,
Probably could too.
you can, all you can do is say, does this dog support a disability? You can't ask what the disability is.
So that could be emotional.
Well, yeah, but
It
it
could be
has,
the case.
it could be, but,
I'm not justifying it, I'm just saying you could.
So then you have, but then the key question is, what work does this dog do? And it has to be, I mean, of course, the obvious ones are, you know, the seeing, hearing,
Yeah,
Or
the
like epilepsy.
epileptic.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to ask that.
Well, you can't ask what the disability is, but you can ask what the work is.
Oh, is
That
it
sort
dog
of,
support?
that sort of leads, you know, to understand what that is, but you can't ask them what their disability is. You have to ask,
Do
Does
the dogs have to have something on them that should, I mean, I guess
Yeah, well, you
anybody
can
can
buy
buy
it.
it,
Yeah.
no,
yeah.
anybody can get those.
Okay.
It just has to be under control, it has to, you know, they have to certify, or they have to state that it does work and what the work is, and that's basically about it.
It's gonna be hard to do that.
They have to, they have to clean up after it, they have to keep it under control. Doesn't say, you know, whether it's on a harness or a,
Yeah,
you know, one of the old
Leashes.
yokes or whatever, but.
You know, maybe the thing to do come the spring is in the newsletter, put in there, you know, service animal rules on the beach.
That's a
Yeah,
good idea.
that's a
And
good
spell
idea.
out, you know, look, you know, nobody's allowed to ask anything about a disability, but you may be asked, what service does this dog
Right.
provide?
Right,
What work does he do?
right,
And, you know, just so that people can be aware of,
yeah.
and, you know, spell out that, hey, the rules say it has to be a service dog, not an emotional support dog.
Right.
Or a goose, or,
You know, or my guinea
Has it
pig.
really been an issue? I mean, did
I was
somebody
gonna say,
complain
how often-
about it, or?
There's just this
Well-
one
well,
woman,
the woman,
There's this one woman.
the woman was, you know, kind of upset and felt like she was being treated wrong. So she,
So she could have been legitimate, this could have been a
I
legitimate
think
service.
did she put something into that stupid,
Next door drum point.
next door
Oh,
drum point
She
thing?
filed a complaint and how vulnerable the
Yeah.
woman had been, the beach
Yeah.
patrol person had been to
Yeah,
her, so.
so, and Shirley apologized, once I explained to Shirley what the rule was and how to interpret it,
Yeah.
she, you know, she realized that she was
Self-
wrong, but not,
Not completely out of line.
You know,
more out of ignorance than out of.
Yeah,
Mhm.
self-protection, put something in the newsletter in the spring,
Yeah.
and also have maybe a sheet of paper where that Shirley can hand it to the person on
That's a
the
good
beach
idea.
and say,
Oh,
here are
yeah,
the rules
yeah,
on
yeah,
service
yeah.
animals.
Right.
In
So-
large print, so the
Yeah.
blind can read it.
Right.
You want to bring it up?
And it's, the language is all in that ADA
Yeah.
rule.
Yeah.
You sent it to me.
I think I
Yeah,
sent it
well,
to you.
very large.
We can look it up again, we can paraphrase that.
But I think this is not a problem we've had in the past, I don't think.
A
This is
year ago-
Really?
When, well, maybe almost 2 years ago now, another woman was, you know, heading up the beach patrol. And there was a man that would come quite often and had a little dog with him that he claimed was a support dog. But what, the man had no control over the dog, it was running all over the place. And, you know, so the woman,
Supported his sense of free spirit.
yeah, so this woman was doing the beach patrol, you know, said, Rhea, what's the word? And that's when we got the opinion from Mr. Shield,
Oh.
which if I recall correctly, I think it said we could ask for some sort of proof.
Well, he said that again in this last thing.
Yeah,
He said, well, this HUD thing says you can't, no, you can't.
yeah, that's interesting.
You can't, you can, under certain circumstances having to do with housing, there's
Mhm.
some things you can ask for or
Right.
something.
People
And
house
then, if it goes beyond, like, the standard rules for a service dog,
Mhm.
then there are cases where they have to show a doctor's statement about
Right.
why they need this guinea pig.
Right.
But that's starting to get into emotional
Yeah,
support.
like, I
practices.
know with claims, they put a lot more restrictions on it, you have to have like,
Yeah.
and it just can be certain
People were
animals
getting it to
and.
be ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yes,
their pet snakes were like all of a
Well,
sudden
that's-
service animals.
Yeah.
and-
That was the nice thing about this ADA thing, it actually showed common sense, and it started addressing how emotional support snakes do not qualify under this.
Right.
So,
So is this primarily dogs that are service animals?
only dogs
I
right
think it's
now.
dogs.
Yeah.
It's only dogs.
And if you bring your peacock or whatever.
I haven't
Right.
seen a seeing eye cat yet.
No, so you can
Maybe
really
they
say,
had the traffic on.
not a support animal, but a service dog,
Yeah.
use that term, that's a very
Service dog,
specific.
yeah.
It's very specific.
train a Siamese cat to do that.
Well, I had to sort of almost laugh. At the end of this rule, they talked about how they were considering service ponies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Apparently there's some,
take one of those.
there's some miniature ponies that are supposedly as qualified to be service things as dogs.
Yeah, I remember reading that somewhere, they're very
What about
small.
service?
Oh, I can
Then
say
it
clean
could be
up after
served.
this.
Yeah, potbelly
Especially
pigs,
in the
yeah,
living
right.
room.
There was a potbelly pig, I guess it's potbelly loose in Drum Point last week.
How about
Guy came in to
potbelly
tell
pig?
me, and right behind him came a woman, there's a pig, there's a pig.
How about the potbelly bacon? I think
Oh, Tony. Oh, no, out of control, she was
Did
laughing.
they find it?
Oh, I have an issue for new business.
Okay.
Cause, you know, after these meetings, some of us like to try to sneak out and get something to eat.
Oh.
But a lot of the restaurants are closing earlier or, whatever, because they don't have
8:30,
enough staff. And so I was wondering if it would be possible, not permanently, but at least for a while in the interim, if we could start our meetings at 6:30 rather than 7? Would that throw anybody's schedule totally out of kilter?
No, it's fine with me.
I don't think the bylaws had anything about what time.
Well, but I mean, and I'm not
It shouldn't.
saying,
I mean,
If they
I'm
do,
not
it's
saying
wrong.
forever, I'm not saying forever.
I saw, I was at Starbucks today and they said, we apologize, we are closing early at 3 o'clock due to lack of staff.
That's
I mean,
right,
oh,
that's right. A lot of
So,
places,
a lot of places
a lot of
are-
places are
Yeah.
closing early, they don't have the
Yeah.
staff, like the back room at CD Cafe
Yes.
sometimes isn't
Yeah.
open at all.
Right,
because
I've
it's
done
called
that
having
before,
staff.
I've gone there, it's like, nope, we don't have.
And
and I
so,
think it's only if we had somebody who was young and working and they couldn't get here.
yeah, and I'll
But
just
that's
say,
a different
if somebody says, look,
situation.
I can't get here before 7, okay, fine, well, then
Yeah.
we stay at 7.
Right.
But-
And if possible, if we could just move it to 6:30 for the next couple of 3 months, and then we can
Yeah.
revisit
Yeah.
the issue.
Yeah, I don't have
I
a
like
problem with
that
that.
idea, actually, sounds good.
Dynamite.
I don't mind
Okay.
if we moved it to 6.
Like,
Well, I don't care,
might even be better.
I
right?
don't-
Around going, oh, what time is
I don't care if it's 6 either, but
I liked when it was at 11, we were doing that for a while, that was nice.
Yeah, Alyssa could.
Except for
she
some-
come anyway, so.
Except for some of us who don't get to go out after the meeting. We might have to eat before the meeting.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
That's called a late lunch.
Right. So speaking of this, why don't we do the next meeting on the November 2nd at 6:30?
Okay.
Just have to remember.
I'll try to remember to send
That's
a,
fine.
Can I just ask you a question? Do you have any idea how many people actually look at the newsletter?
I can look online, and the ones that go out by email, that gives me statistics.
You know that they're read though? You don't-
Between two, and well, it's engaged, there's two different statistics there.
So you tell somebody's opened that email.
That's, I think that's engaged,
Okay.
and less
You can't prove that they
people
read it,
actually,
but-
yeah, engage and actually, they might open the email,
Mhm.
but then if they don't click on the link,
Oh, that's true,
you
yeah.
have to click on the link, and I think that's being engaged. And it's between 2 and 250 out of 900, 800, 900 that I sent. Now, I don't look at it later in the week, later in the month.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, you know, that
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
increases.
some more,
Mhm.
yeah.
So,
Only-
and of course, the ones we mail, I have no idea.
Only because, with the club,
Mhm.
they have an email
Yeah.
thing, and only 30% of
Yeah.
the people actually.
Mhm.
I'll bet
Read
we're,
it.
I would dare say
Never
we're
gotten
probably
anything from the
about
club.
30%.
I've never gotten anything from the club.
Well, there's one of your non-readers.
Maybe you have
Have
the,
an
maybe they
excuse.
don't have the right,
Maybe not have it.
email.
They may not have the right, maybe
But
they
yours
don't have the
kept
right
changing
email.
for a while.
Yeah,
Well,
yours was it.
How often do they send something out?
Well, they sent out the thing, about the Oktoberfest,
Right.
and,
And you didn't get that?
No.
okay,
Did
so,
you get
then that could be because, your
It could be they had my
email, and now you have to
So,
get in touch with them
Well,
and you get that
I
correct.
used to get stuff, periodically, but I don't remember getting anything recently.
The only thing I know of is definitely the Oktoberfest.
Yeah, that would.
And they have, what, a year ago, I mentioned, when we were doing the meetings at 11, Ginny and Maggie said, they haven't heard what's going on with the club, haven't heard anything. So I mentioned to Mary Ann that they really should start sending out, maybe not every month, but maybe every other month, just to say, you know, things are going da-da-da-da-da, and, you know, just kind of keep people aware of it. I mean,
I used to,
Ralph used to send it out every month.
no, I know, and we used to get the thing every month, and it had like the yoga
Yeah.
stuff and all that.
Well,
Yeah.
back when I was
Yeah.
there.
But, we haven't been getting anything like that.
Yeah, no.
And we didn't get anything out, like on this little fishing derby they had and some of those other things. I'll have to go back and look.
I think there was something.
Did you get that?
No, I'm not ever doing that.
They
That sounds
did have a
fun.
sign out.
There was a sign on the,
On
on,
the fishing derby?
on
I think,
the entrance.
About the fishing derby.
Well,
They had
I saw
another
something about the
event before
Oktoberfest.
that.
Oh, I saw
Okay.
the
They
sign.
had
open mic.
I'm not a member of the club, so
Well,
I
there's
thought
something,
it
but
would
nobody
have
showed
been
up.
there.
Yeah, that was,
Okay,
that
I
was
remember
the,
seeing
that was
something
the
at the
open
entry,
mic.
yeah,
thing.
whatever you call that,
And
inside.
no one showed
Maybe I
up for
was
that.
not paying attention at the
Eric-
time.
That's
yeah,
really
Eric
an
was
open
in
mic.
California.
That's very open.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're missing, I think they must be not getting their
Yeah.
stuff out
Yeah,
there like they,
it's-
like they should.
What's it by, MailChimp is there.
Boy, that's an old thing, isn't it?
Mail
I have
truck.
a
Years ago.
question for you.
That's,
One more question.
that's what we were using, and just passed it on.
So Eric and I were riding bikes and we went down Deer Drive and, they were putting, electrical wires
Underground.
underground. Are they doing that for all of Jim Point or only
No,
that
they're doing it
portion?
all-
of
I
it?
got
Deer Drive.
I got a letter or an email, I don't think I ever told anybody about it. Maybe a year ago, 6, 8 months, a year
It
ago,
came
about
up, we
that.
talked about it.
Oh, did we talk
Yeah.
about it? Thank you.
Can you refresh us? 'Cause
and-
I don't remember.
And they're burying the electrical lines in that whole area, Deer Drive,
Oh, okay.
Johnson, but just that section.
Yeah, why do the rest of the wire, yeah, why?
I don't have money, it's expensive to bury.
But when do they
So-
pick
Well,
up
I-
first?
I-
Deer Drive's doing it on the road, who's
Well,
doing it?
I stopped,
Money.
one day I was riding, I think I was riding my bike,
On the
and
waterfront.
I stopped and asked them,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
why,
we're on waterfront.
why-
property,
what
and
this
nobody's
was.
very
Right,
close.
we did the same thing, we stopped
and
and
of course,
Yeah.
you know, the people
Yeah.
that were there were not Smecco people, they were contractors.
Right, right.
And the answer was something like, well, they have lots of tree problems here.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have tree problems any more than anywhere else. does
Yes,
it?
right, right.
Yes, we
So-
do.
On Deer Drive,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just nice, because, you know, it's funny too, because we were riding our bikes and we're like, what's different about this area? And we noticed, there's no electrical. And then we ran into the truck and Aaron asked if they were
Who's
putting,
paying for it?
yeah.
well, Smecco is paying for it, but you're paying for it indirectly because it's gonna up the,
So is that
So
something
every-
that we
Everybody
could
is,
say, we have a lot of trees too?
everyone is paying for their
Right,
underground.
Everybody in the county, everybody in
All
the county.
Smecco customers.
It's a-
indirectly.
All of it, yeah.
I mean, we're not pitching in, here's $10.
No, we're not.
You know, it's just part of what
Coming
you're
It's
in
just
paying
like,
for.
you know, they're putting
your
a-
fees.
they put half the lines on the island underground a
Right.
couple years ago. Now they're getting ready to put the remaining part of it underground.
Yeah,
Well,
it would be nice if they do it for everybody.
Yeah.
I
Well,
would, yeah,
yeah.
that would,
Maybe
that
it's
would
works.
eliminate
I don't
a
know.
lot of power.
Laurel
outages.
Way over my house that I owned is, those lines are buried.
They're very,
You get beyond Bayview Drive, I think it is.
Yeah.
Up that hill.
Yeah, ours are not buried.
No, ours
Yeah.
are not
because
buried.
it's
Well,
like,
yeah,
our power
the
goes out a
trees are
lot,
getting
too,
so
transformer.
tall.
Yeah, I mean, we have, we
I know,
have.
I know.
well,
Yeah.
Well,
so
does the
it's
power
really, I
go
mean,
out?
all Smecco.
This is the guy with the generator?
Well,
Complain,
yeah,
say, why are they getting in? This is not fair. Why
Yeah.
why am I getting in? Why
Yeah.
is-
I see it.
We've always had a problem with Deer
Don't worry about it.
The meter lines are
Don't
going
worry
right
about
down the hall, and they're feeding off of that into the subdivision.
Yeah, we have a lot of trees in our area and our power goes out.
Does it go up for extended periods or just blips?
No, it goes out. We had an outage not too long ago. After transformer blew and it powered out.
Oh.
yeah.
After Katrina, for those of you who remember in 2003, everybody lost their electricity, right? I'm on the phone with my mother, and oh yeah, this and that, we're fine, no electric, blah, blah. But the
That
next
was it.
day, it came right back on.
Well, that's because they brought
I was
the
embarrassed.
crews in from Georgia.
Well, yes, but the rest of Drum Point hadn't, we went on, not the rest of
Oh,
Drum
because you
Point,
were
because we were
underground.
buried.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe, but they were, a lot of it had to do with, the nodes,
That's right.
what they were
Oh.
putting together
And,
when.
Okay.
and the
Okay.
transformer serves how many customers?
Right,
and-
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and I
It's all-
think that, I have an idea that that area is probably part of the CRE's.
Oh,
Maybe.
okay.
I mean, it's
Maybe.
right at
Could be,
CRE.
yeah.
I mean,
Could
you
be.
go on that
That's
bar,
right.
you're on
It
CRE.
could be, but if you look at the outages, even on the normal outages, when there's a storm or something, you look at the outage map that Smuckle has,
Yeah,
you know, you see chunks,
oh,
and it's,
yeah,
you know, it knocks out a transformer, knocks out this chunk, or knocks out a grid
right.
node, and knocks out that.
Well, that
We'll
makes-
frequently, we'll lose power on our side of the cove, and 300 foot away, on the other side of the cove, they've got power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every time I come down here, I usually have my microwave blinking that there's been a power
Because it's
cut.
on.
I think it goes off and on many times.
Yeah.
It doesn't show for a moment.
Yeah, sometimes you get a blip and it'll,
Yeah.
Well, it's hard when you're working, my husband, like Eric's trying to work, or Sophie's trying to do her, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
virtual schooling, and she's taking a test, and all of a sudden you don't have power for a
Yeah.
couple hours, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
oh.
It's really bad if you lose all your progress on your test.
Well, you think it's zero, she had, like, she had
Well, but I
contact,
mean, what if you were halfway done and power goes out and lost all the.
That's what
lost
she
it all?
did, she
Yeah.
lost everything, and she ended up
She had to
getting
start
zero,
with everything?
and she had to petition to her teacher for what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
wow.
Well,
That's, I didn't even.
Oh, well.
Thank God I don't go to school.
Well, she's on campus now, but that was last year.
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Done.